Welcome to Business Online Playbook, a practical podcast for marketers, founders, and creative leaders building brands in the real world. Each episode breaks down how modern businesses actually grow online, what's working, what's changing, and what most people get wrong. Let's get into it. Today's guest has been shaking up the digital game for over 2 decades. Wil Reynolds, the founder of Sierra Interactive, a search-focused agency that's earned serious respect for mixing heart, hustle, and data at scale. He's also one of the most candid voices in the marketing, known for dropping truth bombs on stage and on LinkedIn. The timing could not be better. Google just told the world that GEO is basically still SEO. Vendors are selling AI optimization like it's a gold rush. Clicks are disappearing. And everyone in the industry is quietly wondering what their job looks like in 5 years. Wil is one of the few people who actually says the quiet parts out loud. One more thing before we start, I built some of today's questions using Wil's own question GPT. So in a very real sense, Wil is interviewing Wil. Let's see if you agree with yourself. CEOs brag about AI headcount savings on earnings calls while telling employees not to worry. So when did we all just agree to lie about this?
I think CEOs have been really good at lying to themselves for a really long time. We're really good at being like, ask a CEO how business is going. Oh, great. And then like 6 months later, oh, I'm shutting it down. I thought it was great 6 months ago. What happened? So I think that we're just good at, a part of us, I think, needs to create some of that, like, things are good in spite of them not always being good. But I think we're really good at telling our teams that we will not use these things to trim headcount while getting into private rooms with other CEOs and saying, how many people should cut? Can't wait to cut these people. There's a lot of frustrated CEOs out there who can't wait to cut people, and they want to use this as their reason to do it.
So when a vendor says we can optimize your brand for AI answers, like what should a marketer ask before they believe that?
How do you pick your prompts? Because you can show up for all kinds of stuff. Walk me through step by step how you pick your prompts, and don't skip a step. Like, walk me through every step. And you know what? While you're at it, share a screen and walk me through it. I want to see it for myself. That's what I would do. And in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking, at what point did you ask me to talk to customers? So you're just going to use tools. And what? Your intuition? You've talked to me for 10 minutes. You have nothing in your process that'd be like, hey, if you could get me with 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 customers, I might actually learn something. Okay, check one. Next thing. Hey, are you using paid search data at all to help you come up with these prompts? Oh, no. I make them up based off of personas and shit. And you're like, okay, cool. But my customers are already speaking their language in my paid search where I can capture their queries. Why would you not use that data to police your whole 10-minute understanding of my business when I've got years of people searching Google and conversion numbers and all that stuff? I got all that. Why won't we just use that as part of my thing? So for me, I look for how do you select your prompts? And it can be different from person to person, but I want there to be a strategy that's not just like, glorified keywords. If you're using 6 words per prompt, you done fucked up. Because when people are naturally talking with each other and they naturally talk to Claude, they don't say real estate Philadelphia. Nobody says that, bro. So now you're just going to put I'm a mom, real estate Philadelphia. You do like dumb shit like that, right? Like, oh, it's a prompt now. And you're like, it's a keyword. Like, go figure out what these people actually want. I don't know. Scan some Reddit threads. Scan some Reddit threads that show up for rankings, save the page, paste it into Claude, and compare it to the prompts that you're going to track. Does it sound like the problems people actually have? That would be my first thing. Because increasing visibility for things that people aren't really searching for that much ain't going to be all that helpful.
Yeah, without nuance, it's just slop.
Exactly.
What should brands measure when rankings, clicks, and traffic stop telling the full story?
Here's what I would measure. So ChatGPT made a change where they got more aggressive in putting brands in query fan out. So query fan out, quite simply, is you put in a prompt, it figures out what queries to run against a search engine, and then it goes and visits those sites, it distills them down and brings you an answer back. So it's the pages that it chooses, it's the queries that trigger the pages that it generates the answer from. They're starting to put brands in the query fan out. So now if you ask for a top GEO agency, what used to just be basic listicle stuffing, now is like, well, who do I think the top GEO agencies are? Oh, I think it's Emissive. I think it's iPullRank. I think it's Go Fish Digital. I think it's Sear Interactive. And then you go, whoa, out of the 12 queries you ran, 10 of them included brands. And you go, so no one can win for the prompt Sear Interactive, Geo Strategies, except me. So what I start to believe is you want to become a brand that shows up in the fan out. And what's hard about becoming a brand that shows up in the fan out is you can't fake it nearly as easily as you can a listicle. So how do you grow a brand? You got to go in on social. Most of these geo people are like, well, why would I be over there? Why would I like interview you for thought leadership when I don't have keyword numbers against those terms? You're like, we got to figure out what makes people like people and brands because because the AI is starting to include brands and people in the fan out, which is choosing what resources come back.
You say that trust is a moat. Like, what does that actually mean for a brand that isn't already famous?
People are talking about your brand. It's an assumption that I'm making. But people are either talking about you or your brand somewhere in places that you just can't track. You don't have to be internet famous to have people talk about you, right? Somewhere, let's say you're a small business. Somewhere people are talking about you to friends, colleagues, people they trust in their network. They're saying stuff. The question is you're not in the room. Are they saying that you're a good company? Are they saying that like, yeah, I'd give them a shot? Are they going, how many times have you or I given a referral that's full-throated? Oh my God, I would totally use this person tomorrow. And then you've also given the referral where you go, I heard of these guys. Both are citations. Both are referrals. The recipient knows the difference between the two. So we're all being talked about, famous or not. Now, the more famous you get, the more you do get a little bit more of a back channel. You can see what people are saying and what things they're visiting, but people are talking about you. Why don't you make it when people, I had an alumni send me a message this morning at 6 a.m. and they sent me this message and it was like, I am in a place traveling with a bunch of other people in our industry. And when they found out that I used to work with you, 4 of them had these amazing things to say about what they've learned from you or how you just operate from a distance. And I validated, like, yeah, I worked here for 8 years. Like that's exactly who he actually is. I wasn't there. People were saying stuff. Now, luckily, I got a back channel for an alum who was like, I think this would brighten your day. For a lot of us, people are asking people those questions and they talk shit because it wasn't good. They didn't treat people right, yada, yada, yada.
I like to wake up in the morning and say that I'm a big deal. And that doesn't mean I'm famous, but I'm a big deal. And so I should act like a big deal and have something to say and act like people are listening.
Oh, dude. So I listened to a podcast this morning, a TEDx speech, and the guy thought he was going to die in 6 months from cancer, young dude. And he was in a cancer hospital waiting for his diagnosis. After he'd already been diagnosed twice, they said, let's go get a biopsy and do our 3rd check to make sure that this is really cancer. But the first 2 doctors were already like, get your affairs in order. You got 6 months. So he's laying in the hospital. Before he gets the news, he says to himself, whose life is better because I exist? Yeah, right? Who have I helped? Who have I helped? And I think that is how you get talked about. And then it ended up that he didn't have cancer and that it was just a cyst that was non-cancerous. But then he was like, that moment will stick with me for the rest of my life. And then this is what I did after that. And the person that affected him most actually ended up being a boss. I think a lot of us hear that and are like, I should quit all of it and go dig dams and wells for people in sub-Saharan Africa. Like, shut the fuck up, ease up, because that's not true. And he was like, the person that I decided to call that was that for me was a boss. It was a boss at work at a big consulting firm who one day was like, you should run this triathlon that you were about to cancel because we're working on a Saturday and you didn't want to leave us behind. And for some reason for him, that stuck. I think we all got those opportunities.
Yeah, I'm here for that. What AI search tactics should brands ignore right now that vendors are selling hard?
Bro, the most fun thing in the world to do is to take a vendor's case studies, especially the ones that have tons of them. Take their case studies where they go, this is how much results we got for this client this fast. And then take the domain of that client and drop it into Ahrefs or SEMrush and look at the number of keywords that fell off in Google. So Google's already found a way to penalize that work in their search algorithm. If Google is saying, we think this is so shitty, we don't want it to show up in our search algorithm, do you really want to play the game of, but they haven't figured it out yet with the AI algorithm? Like, come on, man. Like, they're going to figure that out. These guys got AI that drives its own cars. Like, these guys aren't stupid. Like, you think that your little punk ass sitting in a basement somewhere in Biloxi has figured out a way to like show up in the AI forever with this kind of a tactic when they've already knocked it out of search? I wouldn't bet on that. So yeah, take people's case studies and the companies they say they've done AI for, or generative engine optimization for, and put them in and make sure they didn't fall off. You'd be surprised. There are certain people who, when you see these case studies, they almost sound too good to be true. And sure enough, if you actually look at their clients, and one of them, it's AirOps. And I was really surprised to see this from them because AirOps is known everywhere in all these major enterprises. And if you literally took the URLs, you could take this transcript and say, build me a tool that goes to AirOps' site and pulls all their case studies and then use the Ahrefs MCP to look those companies up and tell me what percentage of them has fallen off. And like, they haven't done that. So they're publishing case studies on their website that literally have clients that have been penalized where all the content worked until it didn't. And then they didn't know because they were so fast to write the case study that then 3 or 4 months later, they completely fell off and they're still up on their website. That is how much of a land grab things are right now, that some of the top brands in our space are doing this stuff and they don't even have time to look back and go, well, this isn't going to work forever. So let's check this every week or every month to make sure that we pull the shit down that shows that we don't want to highlight the clients that we got penalized. We don't want to highlight the content that got this client dinged, but they are. And they're some of the people leading our industry, which is tough.
Well, that's because they get rid of all the people and replace them with AI.
Not yet.
Doesn't care.
Not yet, man. No, not yet. But there's going to be a lot of work. I think you're starting to see some people in this space being like, okay, there's going to be a lot of work to, for lack of a better word, unfuck this like scaled, fast, human in the loop, but not really. Like, stop pulling my leg with your like, this person has 5 minutes to review it for factual accuracy. Stop it.
Yeah, we learned early on that hands-on QA of every single thing that leaves our shop is super critical, preferably 2 sets of eyes. And it's been killing us because we're doing 2 to 3 times as much for our clients for the same price. And so then we've realized we have to do that QA. And so now we got to use AI to try to get rid of other things that take up time, because that human QA and that human signing off on the briefs before we even make anything are 2 things that we like will not give up, period. Everything else is up for negotiation.
Let me give you an example. So I'm a big fan of The Wire, and and Marlo.
Best show ever.
Marlo's like, my name is my name, right? And it's crazy what we're willing to put on our name. I think people don't realize that. I think most decisions about, especially in B2B, they're going to happen in Slacks and WhatsApps and emails, right? It's like, that's where people are talking about you that you don't know. And what trail are you leaving for people to mention your content, your business, whatever? It goes back to what we were saying earlier. And like, I saw a local review TV group, right? So it's like the local channel that does like these restaurant reviews locally. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I get some new ideas, some new places to visit. They went to this one place. I went to the website. All of the pictures on the website of the food was AI. And I'm like, wow. So like this channel that I've been watching in this show for the last 5 or 6 years to get new ideas for places to visit just instantly lost all credibility with me. And then someday that person's going to be like, well, why aren't we getting this much traffic? And why aren't we getting this? And it's not, you can't optimize your way back into trust. Like, you really, like, there's no way you reviewed this company, this restaurant. Like, you can go to their website and be like, wait, the food isn't real. Like, the picture of the food isn't real. Didn't care. I think, so that's an offline version of that. Like, so many of us are working so fast to crank that we have and we think the job to be done is to not leave M dashes and not have misspellings. It's like, no, the job to be done is to have an original fucking thought and put some time into your craft. Be a craftsman, right? Like, put some time into your craft. Don't just be like assembly line person.
Yeah, I'm here for that. I'm so here for that.
People again, man. Like, that's why you double check everything.
I'm a mechanic for your revenue, right? Like I got to take care of my tools and I got to fix the engine. And if I don't fix the engine, it doesn't matter if you came by to see me. We're not here selling smog certificates. Like, we're here to fix the car.
Right. Somehow we forgot about that. We're crafts. Well, there are people with the same title. Some of them are craftspeople. Some of them are not.
What keeps you grounded? It seems like every 6 weeks, everything we think we knew is dead and everyone needs a new playbook, if you read anything on the internet. What should we be working on consistently? What is it that we should be doing to stay grounded?
Honestly, I think getting out from behind your desk and realizing there's a world of people out there that are going through shit.
Mm,
I think that grounds me. Like, I know I can think of it from a marketing standpoint, but the way I really think about it is, what grounds me in marketing is realizing I'm not a fucking surgeon. Realizing that like I don't work at a like immigration nonprofit dealing with people losing their parents for a shoestring fucking salary sometimes, right? And that's what your front lines are every day. Mine is what happened on AI. Cool. But you also watch people be like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by what to do, blah, blah, blah. You're like, yo, you think that's bad? Like, that's why I'm always like, the more I volunteer and the more time I spend with other people, the more I can keep my own stuff in check. I had a chance to work with a young person I got close to, and one day they told me how like they had cut their hair, and I was like, oh man, like new haircut, like you cut it all off, man, like it's really low. And he's like, yeah, cut my hair, reminds me of some of my old traumas and whatnot from like back in the day dealing with my parents, yada yada yada. And this person spent some time in a youth shelter, and then they went on to kind of talk a little bit more, and they're like, yeah, I also cut my fingernails, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever, man, like cool, whatever. And he's like, because I needed to always have them long because my parents would lock me in the basement. And that was how I could pick the lock to get out when they would lock me in the basement. I'm going to come back to my desk and be like, man, this AI shit is tough. It's like, nah, but how many of us sit in these bubbles of
mm.
everything's about, our job and our marketing and what we're doing. And I think there's a chance for us to get just outside of that bubble a little bit and be like, these problems are solvable. And at least nobody, imagine the caseworkers who had to hear that story. Imagine all the support circle around that. They had to go home and they deal with that every day. Right. So I think like for me, yeah, people are always like, Will, what do people tell you? Your feelings are legitimate. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, people love the minute you try to downplay your problems as not being problems, other people internalize that and be like, well, Will says that his problems aren't problems. And I think he's got all these problems. And he's like, they're not problems. Then what does that say about me? So I have to be like, but you're allowed to feel your feelings. I'm allowed to feel for people that are struggling, bro. Real shit. So like to me, that's how I stay grounded in all of this. I got to be honest with you because we always have honest conversations. I've secured the financial future for my family, and I don't spend money a lot. So I'm pretty smart with how I spend my money. So therefore, like I don't have that pressure on the other side. Um, so I think that also allows you to be in a different mental space, if I'm being honest. And I got to be honest about my privilege in that regard. But, I worked for that shit you know? And I cared about a lot of people on the way to like build this like business that then resulted in what it resulted in. And I don't deserve that. Because a lot of other people helped me to build it. But I think like I think that the security side for me and my family, plus the consistency of, what a friend of mine said to me one day is he goes, how quickly would it take you to build back to 1 million if you went to zero? I think that's such a great question to ask yourself because it instantly makes you think, who have I been good to? Who's in a position to help me out? Who would take my call instantly? Who would say, I'll give you $1,000 a month for a thing? How many of those could you stack up? And if that number's small and you can't think of those numbers, problem. The other thing I think a lot about is, that whole question of like, if someone was trapped in a jail cell in Thailand, who would be the first person you would call? And, that question makes you think a lot about who do I think figures shit out without all the rules and all the to-do lists and all the checklists? Who's the kind of person that just figures it out? And then I turn it back on people and I go, who are you that person for? Ooh, you get a lot of blank stares. Oh, because I followed the rules. And, what do I got? What am I supposed to do today? And what did the project plan say I was supposed to do? The project plan said help grow this client. Ooh, no, 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 no. I got these 4 things to do today in this amount of time. And that's out of scope. It's like, ooh, out of scope motherfuckers are never the people you want to fucking call when you get locked into a fucking jail cell somewhere in fucking Bangkok. Because they're going, well, what does the rule say? What does the law say? I'm like, yo, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to get you the fuck out. We'll figure it out. I'll make the plan in the air, right? Like that's it. Or someone else like, I'm going to sit here and plan. And you're like, well, the flight left. It's going to take you 3 more days to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry for the long-winded answer, but these are all the things like floating around up in my freaking medulla oblongata, so to speak, that are just making me kind of like how I'm shaping my vision of the world on a day-to-day basis.
I appreciate that, Will, because I've been looking at the other side of that question that I need to make some changes in my business. And I have been helping a lot of people out for a lot of years. And I work with several nonprofits and I do a lot of mentoring and I offer a lot of free consulting to people and never want or expect anything from. I mean, I had a guy offer me some money yesterday. I probably should have taken, who's a friend of mine. And I was like, no, we're friends. Like, you know, and I kind of hit me yesterday, actually after that call that I'm like, I need to start calling people up and going, hey, you're a smart person. We've known each other. Like if you were in my position,
That's
what
it.
would you do? And I
That's
need
it.
to start making some withdrawals. And my ego has a hard time with that of not
That's
being
it.
like, you know, everything's great. Cause I'm like a 55-year-old white guy. Like I'm king of the world, like who was born in America and I'm a Christian and like I was born, you know, top of the food chain just by being born. And so, you know, but as a human being, like I've realized like I need to go make some withdrawals. And in doing so, I'm going to become a better person, able to give more, you know, put the whole putting your oxygen mask first, you know, on, right?
That's
Thing
it.
sort of thing.
That's it.
So
That's what
I appreciate you hearing that. And I'm going, well, shit, I have done that stuff. Like I need to go make some withdrawals. So it's great it's just, I love this conversation.
dude, it's the other side of what you said. This is why you'll be just fine. Because the other side of what you said is what I don't hear 95% of the time. It's my ego that keeps me from telling people what's really going on.
Yeah.
So therefore they're thinking, you're fucking great. So I'm not going to dig an extra 5 minutes in my network to find an opportunity for you because you just said you were crushing it.
Yeah.
If more of us were honest about when we're getting crushed and when things are hard, people would show up for us. But if we keep acting like, oh, things are always amazing, then people are like, well, that's great for you. And then we get off the Zoom and then you go back and look at the account and you're like, man, I wish this number was bigger. Well, why didn't you just tell that person that you've been helping out for so long the same thing? Well, I don't want them to think I'm less successful. It's like, so you're willing to accept a smaller bank account and stressing yourself and your family out so that somebody else thinks you're successful.
I'm Gen X, punk rock, DIY, SST, Minutemen guy, and I'm acting like a poser. Yeah.
Well, no, you know what though? The beauty is, like I said, is you're more advanced than most because when I have these conversations with people, they can't self-realize that part of the reason why they're either one, we all like to think more of ourselves than is true. So therefore they think they're helping a lot of people when they're really not. So either they're false about that or they are true about that. And then they struggle with actually being honest about where they are. So nobody knows to show up and help them. And Drew, I bet you're in the same boat, right? Where like, if somebody said, how long would it take for you to build back to a certain number that makes you comfortable? You have created relationships where there's a good chance there are people in your life who'd be like, I can make a role for you for 3 months. Help me out with this problem. Done. How does that happen? Right? So it's like, because it's not about running, to me, it's never about running a business. It's about securing opportunity for me and my family. So I'll do that whatever way is the best way for that. Like the business is fun. I love it, but I can do it in a lot of places, right? It gives me more autonomy. Yes. Privilege too, right? You're like, as a white guy, I'm like, shit. As a black guy, shit done worked out pretty motherfucking good for me, dog.
Yeah.
Right? So like, you know, so for me though, I think that you've put yourself in that position. This podcast is a small example of something that puts you in that position. I meet a lot more people. I get to talk to them. I get to see who I vibe and don't vibe with, and they get to know more about me. Boom, 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 boom. Over time, that trust bank builds up. You can make some withdrawals if you're honest with people about it.
I appreciate you so much, Wil.
I got you,
is
bro.
there anything we missed?
We'll just do this again in like 3 or 4 months. And
okay.
I mean, because dude, like what you're not seeing right now is the shit that I got running on the back end. It's just like gross. Like I got some of the most gangster shit running right now, bro. Like I'll describe it as a cliffhanger and then I'll show it. We'll do either like a shared screen or something. We'll figure out how to do it.
Okay, great.
I have an AI that goes through. So we have, you know, I'm thinking a lot about AI through the lens of like Legos. And what you want, I believe, in this moment is to be around a lot of other people who make Legos. Because once they've already made the Lego, you can use it to stack and build a beautiful thing. Right? So
I've got my crew. Like I know.
Right? So you got to have Lego builders. Right? Some people want all the pieces already made. Some people make a piece and they go, wait, but you made your piece and I made mine. So now I can operate. So like we're doing a really good job of breaking down transcriptions and codifying certain things that we're seeing in calls. So now we've got a metadata layer over every call in the company. So what happens is my AI literally within a couple hours after a BD call hangs up, looks for certain things that I believe very strongly in to see if it was mentioned on the call. And then it goes, oh, Wil, this person Drew mentioned this thing on the call, and you have in your library of strong beliefs, you believe very strongly about this. Great. Then I've taken so many of the things that I built, little vibe coded shit, and I have now gotten them finally cleaned up to where there's about 15 of them. And I have a skill that kicks off each one. So now it listens to your call, finds out what your problems are, says that, hey, Wil is actually literally connected. It's a belief system that he has about something. So it connects with me. Then what it does is goes through and says, I recommend you run this tool, the Reddit scraper, the site crawler, and this. And it just kicks each one off and humans me in the loop each step. After each step runs, it goes, here's what I found and here's what I think. And it puts your quote about your problem next to what it found. And I go, yep, nope, yep. And then after about a half hour of a few yeses and nos, it builds me a script based off of all the scripts I've sent people over the entire freaking years of me just sending out scripts. So now it's like, I know how you sound. I know your flow. So then it creates a script. The script says, open this link to this tool I built, open this link to this report I built, open this link on this page. You want to say these things. You want to give them this quote. Boom, 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 boom. And then it just runs. And then I just record the loom and send it out. So I'm working on probably 5 to 6x the amount of deals that I used to, because I used to be opening a tab, download transcript, prompt. Okay, got it. Now put it in this tool. Now here's all my highlights from all the things that I've been reading. Like, how does that connect to that? Okay, let me connect to the MCP for this. And you're like, no, dude, I don't assemble anymore. I get right to the freaking business of consulting. Whereas before, I didn't realize how much of my time was being spent assembling and moving, because it's just a tab, open, download. So it seems easy, but technically you are doing that over and over again. And one day I took a step back and was like, how could I do this if I couldn't open one single tab? And I got my paperclip orchestrator and I said, so now I got a tab limiter. It shuts my browser down if I have more than 5 tabs open, because the minute that happens, I go, I should have orchestrated something. Why am I going into my inbox for this? Or why am I having to open up all these tabs? I should have. So now I've got a forcing mechanism. And that's what's running right now on my other screen. Like, it's crazy because like I'm watching it, like as we're talking, and I'm like, yep, there it is. Yep, did that. Yep, I'll have to get back to you on that. Like, it's like, oh, are my prompts right? Because it knows to stop. It makes up prompts based on what you said your problems were, not based on what the company does. Because I have different beliefs about that, based on what I believe about prompting. This call, the transcript, when it goes on YouTube, we'll go into it and it'll be like, here's the new things that you believe that I did not know before that you talked to Drew about. And now they're in my library. So when you run a client transcript through, I'll automatically pick up, oh, you now believe this. That affects these clients. Go ahead and record them this video talking about boom, 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 boom. So yeah, dude, that's super fun.
That's exciting. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you.